Councillors, I have now done everything in my power to make sure that everybody is on the same page and on the same meeting. Having said that, I am going to move on. I'm not sure whether Councillor Brown, did you have an opportunity to second the previous motion, or did we get stuck at Councillor Lowe? Councillor N. Lowe, you have 1 minute to discuss 13.6, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Councillor Lowe, I still have no response from there. I therefore move on to Councillor Brown.
Speaker, I support the recommendation by my colleague. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Just for clarity, councillors, we have addressed the issue that certain councillors are on the complete wrong platform. I therefore cannot wait any further. We've given them the opportunity to join this meeting, and I'm therefore moving on to item 13.7, the draft leave management policy. There's no debate. Councillor Viljoen, your hand is up, sorry.
Speaker, I just need to bring to your attention there's only one councillor still on the wrong platform. Thank you. Okay,
thank you very much. I have therefore called out the name and I had no response. I am therefore moving on. The next item for discussion is item 13.8, application to purchase ARF 24901 George for the expansion of the business concern situated on ARF 24902 George. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Justin Fry.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not Councillor Fry, but Councillor von Brandes, I will be speaking on this item. Can I go ahead?
Yes, Councillor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. This report is submitted to obtain Council's final approval for the alienation of ARF 24901 George for the expansion of the business situated on ARF 24902 George. An application received from Safari Bride to purchase ARF 24901 served before Council on 26 November 2021, and resolutions were taken. Some of the resolutions that I want to mention is the following: that we granted approval of out-of-hand sale, but a public participation process needed to be done and then submitted to Council for our final approval. The public participation was advertised on our website 7 January 2022 and in the newspaper on 13 January 2022, which closed on 4th February 2022. No objections against the proposed sale were received, neither were any counter proposals recorded. It is therefore recommended to Council gives the sale of final approval. I therefore propose the recommendation on page 190 to page 192, recommendation A to E. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Ndaka. F, you have 1 minute, please.
Nkosi somlomo. Singumbutho kaKhongolose. Asinangxaki neziphakamiso ezibekwe apha, because it gives people jobs. But we've got one problem or two. Every time that once a business wants to buy something, a land, it only comes to Council. Are there any people that apply as well? I just want to know that. How do you come to giving the land for people? Are there anyone that is applying for the land? Thank you. Can I be answered that? Or you just think, you know, Safari wants land, let me give it to Safari.
Thank you, Councillor Ndaka. MM, do you have an answer for that?
Speaker, yes. Yes, Safari is on the adjacent land and they wrote a letter requesting to purchase this piece of land. which did come to council. It was advertised and there were no objections or no comments or input, and therefore it's coming back to council. But Safari did apply to buy this piece of property. Thank you.
Thank you very much, I'm sure that's very clear. Thank you. The next person to speak is the Good Party, Councillor Hector. You have 1 minute.
Aibo. Speaker.
Councillor Ndaka, you said you wanted the answer and that you were finished. The has answered
And
your question.
No, my minute was speaker. Hi, man, speaker, please don't do this.
Councillor Ndaka, please refrain from using such aggressive language and stuff. You said
Like
that is all that you wanted.
What is the aggressive word or the aggressive language that I use now?
Councillor, when I'm talking, please be quiet. You said
No, don't
you want, Councillor.
Ted.
You are on the final warning already. I do not want to put you out unnecessarily. You asked for a question. You answered.
Point of order.
Your question was answered. You said that is all that you wanted to know, and your question was answered.
But I still have seconds left to speak.
But you said in your statement that that was all you wanted. Thank you.
No, I said I'm going to wait for the question.
Councillor,
And
I'm giving you 10 seconds to wrap up then, please. Your question was answered.
No, you've already wasted my 10 seconds.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
always
you, Councillor.
angry. You are
Thank
always angry. I'm not sure why you are angry.
Thank you. Councillor,
I'm really
please.
not sure why you
Councillor,
are
that's your last warning. Do not
Is it
interject.
because maybe I'm black?
Councillor, that remark was racist, and I'm now removing you from this meeting. Thank you.
I'm asking the question.
Thank you. You've made a disgusting remark about race, and I'm not allowing it. Thank you. Please
I'm
remove
asking,
Councillor.
is it because I'm black? Is that a racist? No.
Yes, it is. Thank you. I'm moving on.
Speaker, did I hear you correctly lastly? That is it because she's black? When you said yes, it is.
I'm not even going to entertain any racist remarks. It's got nothing to do with race at all. Thank you. And I'm not going to entertain anything further. That is my ruling. If you do not like it, please take it up with me afterwards. The next person to speak in this meeting is Councillor Hector.
Point of order, Speaker.
What is your point of order and what is the rule, please?
Yeah, point of order is with rule number 3. Maintain number 3. 3.1. Maintain order during meetings.
Thank you very much.
You said we must raise the hands. We raise the hands because we want clarity on certain issues. And then you are overruling the councillors. Before hearing what they are going to say, Councillor Mdaka here was raising an issue, and then you didn't give her enough chance to speak.
Councillor, please don't question my ruling.
You interjected her.
And I'm entitled to. Councillor, please.
No,
made your point.
No, Speaker, don't misuse
Councillor,
your then you will
continuously carry on. I'm now giving you your second warning. Please, let's stick with the items.
What warning?
Iron fist.
Oh.
Would you like?
CP up. We're threatening us for the warning.
Speaker, can you treat us?
Councillors, I am not going to allow this meeting to be disrupted, and I'm now going to continue. I have made a ruling. Councillor Nkamele, I will not take any abuse or intimidation on this platform. If you have anything further to say about this matter, you can take it up with me afterwards. My job is to maintain order, and I'm doing so to the best of my ability. I've asked Councillor Hector to speak. He has not answered. I'm therefore going to ask that Councillor Girika continue with his 2 minutes regarding the item at hand, please. Councillor Gericke, your mic should be unmuted. Councillor Gericke.
Speaker.
Thank you.
Okay, can I ask you, not wasting any time, it's fine, can you, on this item, the minutes on this item, can you transfer to the next item? It's the same submissions that I want to make, please. And I don't speak here now. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Councillor Alderman, we have the speakers list. You have indicated that you'd like to talk for 2 minutes on this one. I would prefer that we stick to the speakers list so that we maintain the correct procedures, basically.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, yeah. The people coming with this item here and also with the item to follow are putting this council in a difficult and precarious position because we have no objection against Safari wanting to expand, and they are a major job creator in the region and also where they're situated. We have no problem with that. But the officials are bringing this item on the wrong basis and on the wrong pieces of legislation, likewise the other one, and therefore putting the municipal manager in a difficult situation for further investigations and stuff, because this is what's going to happen. I give notice to this council. You cannot invoke the asset transfer regulations where you need to bring the Municipal Finance Management Act into consideration and where you need to bring into play a competitive bidding process which is transparent and so on. Totally wrong to do this. It's got to be a supply chain process. And if this is the trend, likewise with the other item, then we're going to sell our land to wrong people on a wrong basis. That did not participate in a competitive bidding process, and we do not even know in which node or how this land has been zoned. It's not written here. It's just said that this land is not needed for municipal use. We need to understand council decision on the land. Has it been zoned? For what has it been zoned? And so on and so on. So this item and the item to follow will become a subject of investigation by none other than the Public Protector of South Africa, because the relevant supply chain policies have not been applied. You cannot just go and advertise and say nobody has responded. You've got to invite proposals and say, this is the piece of land, we've set this aside for X, Y, Z, and if you are interested, you must now also come and become a role player and bid on this. But this is totally wrong. This is just wrong, and this is a new way of giving our land away to people, willy-nilly. And we must just sit, and it's just going here, passing us, and we must just sit down. So I give notice that this will become a subject of investigation. The PBI will take it forward. You can give it, you can go on, but we will not let this go by without a proper investigation. Therefore, and I place on record, since I have pointed, the speaker, I speak to you, since I have pointed out what is wrong here, we're asking the municipal manager to apply her mind to either withdraw this item and put it through the right processes in order to avoid further action on this one, and let us do it properly. We have no objection giving land to people, but it's got to comply with the relevant legislation. That is vir maklik soos dit. En ons weet waaroor dit gaan. We know, we've been educated in supply chain. Say again, sir?
Thank you, Alderman. Your time is up. You have 10 seconds to conclude.
Right. Yeah.
Continue, Councillor. You have 10 seconds to wrap up.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Sorry. I say that the municipal manager must apply her mind here respectfully towards the municipal manager. Don't let officials put you in a precarious situation, madam, and don't bring this council into disrepute. This is not a playing ground for people just to come and do whatever they like to. You are a woman of integrity. I implore you.
Thank you, Councillor. The time is unfortunately up. Your point was taken, and I'm sure that the MM got your message loud and clear. Thank you very much, Alderman Gericke. Please put your hand down. I have a hand from Advocate van Schalkwyk. Advocate van Schalkwyk, would you like to create some clarity regarding an item?
Yes, Speaker, if I may. What is done here is exactly in terms of the municipal asset transfer regulations. It's allowed in terms of the municipal asset transfer regulation, Regulation 11, to enter into direct negotiations. It's council now only approves in principle. Now the public participation process will follow. That's also indicated there in Regulation 7. But it's perfectly allowed to have conditions for the sale or the disposal of property in terms of Regulation 11 of the Municipal Asset Transfer Regulation.
Thank you for that clarity, Advocate. Thank you. We're going to move on. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor De Tooy. You have 2 minutes.
Baie dankie, Speaker. Speaker, die ACDP ondersteun hierdie aanbeveling vir die volgende rede. Dit is uitbreiding vir safari wat heel wat mense werk gee. En uitbreiding beteken daar gaan meer mense in diens geneem word. Dit beteken dat daar meer mense werk kry en daar meer kos op tafels gaan wees. So die ACDP ondersteun hierdie aanbeveling 100%. Baie dankie.
Can you please have a translation?
ACDP ithi iyayixhasa le ngcebiso inikezelwe apha phantsi kwezizathu ezilandelayo. Uthi izawudala amathuba omsebenzi amaninzi, ulwandiso okanye ukwandiswa kwale bhizinesi. Iyawuthetha ukuthi kuzawuphinde kuqashwe abanye abantu, kongezwe kwaba bantu baqashiweyo. So amathuba omsebenzi ayanda. Ngoko ke thina siyayixhasa le ngcebiso.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor van Niehaus. You have 2 minutes.
Dankie, Speaker, vir die geleentheid. Dit is baie interessant dat sekere raadslede is een asem baie ernstig oor werksgeleenthede vir mense in Jaws, maar aan die ander kant word hulle prosesse bemoeilik en onnodig vertraag. Safari Braai het tot op hede baie geld geïnvesteer in hulle besigheid. Werk word geskaf aan meer as 100 mense. Die Vryheidsfront Plus is ernstig oorskep van werksgeleenthede vir mense. Geen besware is ontvang vir die vervreemding van die erf nie. Om deur vergroting van hulle grondgebied sal hulle dit in staat stel om baie meer mense werk te verskaf. So die Vryheidsfront ondersteun ten volle die aanbevelings soos op bladsy 190 tot 195. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Bathandayo into yobana kudalwe amathuba omsebenzi futhi iyayixhasa kakhulu bona bakweli cala lokuxhasa abantu abadala okanye kudalwa izithuba zomsebenzi, ngoba kaloku isafari sonke siyayazi uba iqashe abantu abangaphezulu kwe-100 okanye phezulu kwe-100. Into ethetha ukuthi xa umhlaba okanye kwandiswe ishishini, abantu abaninzi bazawuphinda baqashwe. Ngoko ke nathi siyi-Freedom Front siyayixhasa le ngcebiso.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paulus. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Johnson.
Speaker, I second the proposal as recommended on pages 190 to 193 under point A to E, and with special focus on the detailed conditions imposed under point E by the Civil Engineering Services Department. I therefore thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next item for discussion is item 13.9. Proposed alienation of ARF 16467, George, for the erection of a world-class tennis facility. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Hill. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. As on page 211, the item deals with the proposed alienation of 1647 George. The property is situated more in the word of mouth by the Roy Rivier Sports Field. This item was already submitted to the ordinary council meeting that was held on the 26th of November 2021, and the resolutions taken at the 26th November meeting is contained on page 211 and 212. And I want to draw the attention to page 212, C small b, that it be advertised. And if you look on page 213, this proposed alienation was already advertised for counter proposals and for public comments that was invited. It took place on the 7th of Jan 2022 and 13th of Jan 2023 with a closure on the 4th of Feb 2022, and no objections were received. And I draw your attention then to the recommendation contained on pages 216, 217, and 218, which I'm not going to read. I just want to allude you to a small typo on the top of page 216, which states that council take note of the following resolution taken at the council meeting held on 26 November 2022.
20 seconds.
2022 shall be 2021. And I propose accordingly as per recommendation on page 216, 217, and 218. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Yesu from the ANC. You have 2 minutes, Councillor. Please proceed.
Dankie, Speaker. Die ANC gaan geensins hierdie recommendation ondersteun nie, Speaker. Ek sien en ek hoor Raslid Hill het nou melding gemaak en ek sien ook daar in die item dat daar public participation was, maar nêrens sien ek enige notule nie. So dit laat die vraag opkom, was dit net vir 'n sekere gedeelte of was die groter inwonertal van George ge-exclude van hierdie public participation? Baie dankie.
ANC yona ayizoba yingxenye yokuxhasa le ngceliso, ngoba uthi ndiyabona okanye ndiyava ubana uthi ukhansela bikhona i-public participation ebithathiwe okanye ukuthathwa nxaxheba loluntu belwenziwe, kodwa ke andiboni apha emaphepheni okanye apha kwi-notes ubana bekwenziwe phi okanye amanani akhoyo. Into ethetha ukuthi mhlawumbi ibenziwe kwiindawo ezithile ingakhange ifikelele kwiindawo thina noluntu lwethu olukwazi ukufikelela kuzo. Ngoko ke thina siyi-ANC asixhasi le ngceliso.
Thank you, Mr. Pollis. The next person to speak on this item is Good. You have 2 minutes, Councillor J. Councillor J, I've asked you once. If you'd like to continue, you have 2 minutes. There is no response from the councillor. I therefore am going to move on to Alderman Gericke.
Earlier requested that Councillor J be removed.
Sorry?
You previously requested that Councillor J be removed from the meeting. That's the reason why she's not in.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Alderman Gericke.
Yes, sir. How many minutes do I have?
Sorry, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, Speaker, again, I'm going to speak through you to the municipal manager, and please note that I'm speaking to the municipal manager and nobody else. And in short, Madam Municipal Manager, please go and make sure about this item also, because there's different types of pieces of legislation that you need to deal with this item. This is a capital asset to this municipality, and therefore there are processes to be dealt with in terms of which you have to deal with this. And you can, again, I submit that you cannot only deal with this in terms of the asset transfer regulations. You've got to take into consideration Section 14 of the Municipal Management Act when you want to dispose of any property or capital assets. And there are other pieces of legislation, the supply chain management policy, the municipal finance management policy, competitive bidding processes, and so on and so on. This will become a subject of investigation, because it's not that we are against development, and I totally take offense of all this which has been said, particularly by the Freedom Front, that we are against job creation and development. That is not true. Which is true here is that we want to make certain that we follow the right procedures. And if the right procedures have been followed, we can all be happy and we will not be at risk. We are not in the way of development and job creation. And therefore, we also call on councillors to educate themselves in terms of legislation. Don't sit here and just raise your hands and talk political, nonsensical things. Educate yourself and become familiar with legislation governing this type of items. And therefore, again, I call on the municipal manager. You don't need to answer me now here, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, to the municipal. Don't answer me here. I would love for you to write to me personally and to give me more clarity on this item so that I can also include this in my future endeavors and submissions, because the PBI will take this item also to the public protector for further investigation, because this has been irregular and we are not satisfied with the process that has been followed. And Speaker, this is my submission. I speak to the municipal manager. I expect a response from the municipal manager. We do not know who decided to dispose of this land. Where has it been decided? Has it been decided by council, or has an official taken a decision unilaterally to dispose of this land? This is the matter at stake here. There's nothing else.
Thank you, Alderman. Your time is up. Thank you for adhering to that. Your point is taken. The next person to speak on this item is...
I've posted a question to the municipal manager. Can you ask the municipal manager to respond? I don't want her to respond to the contents. I have asked for a response in writing, please.
Okay, I'm not sure what else you should respond to apart from in the writing. I apologize. I was under the impression that you said she did not have to answer this meeting.
No, she mustn't respond to the content of my submission. I want to hear whether she has heard my request to respond in writing.
Can you answer the Alderman, please?
Speaker, yes, I can confirm I've heard the Alderman's request. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Viljoen, I see your hand is up. Is it a point of clarity or a point of information?
A point of clarity, please, Speaker.
Yeah.
If I may, to the previous speaker, I just want to make sure whether Alderman Gericke was in the meeting of the 26th of November 2021, because at that meeting we actually resolved on this matter, and today we are just here to give feedback.
Chief Whip, I think the MM, yeah. Chief Whip, the MM has already answered the Alderman.
Okay,
I think it's
I will retract. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Smart. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity. I would just like to respond on the question from the Chief Whip. This item was sent back for public participation, so we have a right to speak here. I concur with the 2 previous speakers, and I just want to ask or to state our view on this matter. The PA is not against any developments in the George area. Our question is, however, was due processes followed, and was compliance in terms of compliance, is it properly done in terms of the laws? With regards to this item, and I will stick to that. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smart. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Du Toit.
Thank you, Speaker. I will be short and sweet. The ACDP support this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. And I don't need to do any interpretation for that one. Thank you. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Niehaus. You have 2 minutes.
Dankie Speaker vir die geleentheid. Die Vryheidsfront het volle vertroue in die munisipale bestuurder, direkteur van beplanning asook advokaat van Skalkwyk. Met George wat strewe om 'n sportmekka aan die tuinroete te raak. Hierdie is nog 'n ontwikkeling wat ons dorp baie nodig het. Gaan eerste klei tennisbane van internasionale standaard vir Suid-Afrika. Hierdie gaan 'n groot inspuiting vir George se toerismebedryf wees. Gaan ook help by die opheffing van jonger spelers se talent sodat George baie tennissterre kan ontwikkel. Hierdie ontwikkeling sal George op internasionale status vir tennis plaas. So die Vryheidsfront ondersteun definitief die aanbevelings soos op bladsy 216 tot 222. Baie dankie.
Ithi-ke i-Freedom Fund yona iyamthemba kakhulu umphathi kamasipala obambileyo, iyamthemba kakhulu ingcebiso yakhe, futhi ke uyalithemba uluvo lwakhe edibene ke futhi ke negqwetha uMr Francisco Veik. Ngoko ke uthi ke iza kuba luncedo kakhulu indaba ye-tourism kakhulu apha eGeorge xa kuzawuthi kuthengiselwa umhlaba, futhi ke naxa nakwitenetya okanye kwitennis okanye kwezemidlalo ezabe zisenzeka izawunceda kakhulu. Ngoko bona ke beyi-Freedom Fund Plus bayayixhasa ingcebiso.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paulus. The next person to speak on this item is Elder Lady Kritzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Baie dankie, meneer Speaker. Ek is mal oor hierdie moedertaal week wat ons nou beleef, so ek gaan Afrikaans praat want dis my moedertaal. Daar kom 'n tyd in wat 'n mens moet wegloop van politieke partye se kleinlike meningsraak en vooruitgang vir die mense in ons dorp. Die inwoners van George se stilswye is 'n duidelike aanduiding dat hulle hierdie projek goedkeur en ek sien daarna uit saam met my koalisievennote, saam met ons koalisievennote na die vooruitgang en die blootstelling wat ons mense van George gaan kry met hierdie internasionale tennissterre en die tennisafrigting wat gaan plaasvind. So ek wil asseblief hiermee die aanbeveling deur my kollega Raadslid Hiel ondersteun en ek sekondeer sy aanbeveling. Baie dankie, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Elder Lady Kritzinger. With that, we come to the end of that item. I see there are hands up.
Speaker. Sorry, Speaker. Speaker. Translation,
Councillor,
please.
I will notice your hand. I am not going to say this again. I will not say this again. I will not tolerate people shouting Speaker. There is a hand. I have acknowledged every hand so far within reason. I am therefore going to ask the first hand up is Councillor Marlene Viljoen. Your hand was up. Do you have a point of clarity or do you have a point of order, or how can I help you?
Speaker, I was just going to ask you if we can have a translation of Elder Lady Iona Kritzinger's seconding, and then I would like to request a 10-minute caucus when you have done with the item for the coalition partners of the DA. Thank you.
I am terribly sorry. That is my fault. Yes, I was a bit hasty. Being the fact that I speak both languages fluently, sometimes I think in Afrikaans and I think I'm thinking in English. I apologize for that. So far it has been going well. Mr. Paulus, could you please translate the item by Councillor Kritzinger, Elder Lady Kritzinger, please? Item by Councillor Kritzinger, Elder Lady Kritzinger, please.
Thank you, Speaker. Elder Lady Kritzinger utheke naye uzawukhe athethe kolwakhe ulwimi ngoba uyabona engathi namhlanje abantu bafuna ukuhlala kulwimi lwabo. Naye ke ufuna ukuzi-expressa okanye ufuna ukuzikhulula kakuhle ngoluvo lwakhe ngokolwimi lwakhe. Uthi ke ngamanye amaxesha funeka sikhe simke kwizimvo zezopolitiko okanye ewe sifuneka sikhe sisuke kwingqondo kwezopolitiko, sikhe sijongele izimvo zabantu, sicingele into ezaba luncedo eluntwini. Ngamanye amaxesha ingqondo zethu funeka nje sizijongele apho. Uthi ke izawuba luncedo olukhulu kakhulu le nto izawukwenzeka apha eGeorge, futhi ke izawuthi iphuhlise isixeko sethu siphela sisonke salapha eGeorge. Ngoko ke uyayixhasa ingcebiso eze no-Councillor Hill. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paulus. Councillor Ntomile, your hand is up. Do you have a point of clarity or point of order?
Enkosi Speaker, a point of order with regard Landuza rules of order number 3.1 and 3.2. Wena Speaker, ingxaki yakho is that awufuni ukumamela xa kuthethwa. Even ukansila Mdaka umkhuphe emeetingini ngenxeni yokuba ungakhange umamele uyiva into ebeyithetha, ungakhange ufune ingcaciso kumntu okhuphelayo. Ndizama ukuthi translator ke ngapheleleyo. So siyazama thina uba sibe yinxalenye yemeeting and then ke ngoku singayigxobhagxobhi inhlangano yakho. Kodwa wena unguyena mntu wokuqala uyigxobhagxobha. So ibingaske umamele.
Thank you, Councillor. This is not the time for a speech. You've made a point of order and you've made yourself clear. I don't understand. I'm going to ask Mr. Pollis to translate for me, please. It clearly says that a point of order is not a speech. Thank you.
I'm stating the rules of order number. I think it was rules of order number 3, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Speaker, your problem is you don't want to listen and you don't want to tolerate other councillors. And number 2, you've taken out Councillor Mdaka without even hearing the point that she was trying to make, but you ordered her to be removed. We are really trying not to disrupt this meeting. We are trying to participate and work together with you, but you are causing the disruption that is happening in this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Pollis. That I take that to note what is being said. I, however, will not step back from my ruling. I have made the ruling and I'm going to stick with it. And I therefore ask you, Councillor Lentu, do you have a point of clarity or point of order?
It's a point of clarity.
Ask your point of clarity.
That Speaker, kutheni unenkani kangaka? Umama uKritzingere apha uthethe ulwimi lakhe isidubata. Asava. Ngoku wena uyaqhubekeka uthi makuye kumba ungaphambili. Utheni ufuna ukuthethe wena wedwa? Apha sizele uzothini bentlanganiso. Akukho kwakho apha sisemithingini apha funeka siyimibutho yonke sithethe into esifuna uyithetha. Umuntu othethe ulwimi lakhe iguqulwe.
Councillor, a point of clarity means a question. Could you please ask your question without making a statement?
Right, it's your language.
Tata, i-question ithi utheni unenkani kangaka? Umama uKritzingere uthethe isidubata asava. Wena uthi makuqhutyekekwe, enkosi. Thank you.
Mr. Pollis, could you answer, translate, please?
Why are you stubborn-headed? Why are you so stubborn? Because Elder Lady Kritzinger spoke in her mother tongue and you did not allow the interpreter to translate for us and you just wanted us to continue as if we understand. It is our right for us to...
I have made, Councillor, thank you very much. I'm going to interject there. I have apologized for that. And as I said, I think in both languages, and sometimes I do miss that. So therefore, I did have translate Councillor, the Councillor's speech. Thank you very much. I'm moving on. I'm not going to entertain any more. The item is finished, and we have had a seconder to that. Councillor Kampi, I am going to ask you whether it's a question. If it has got anything to do with this meeting, you may ask the question. I am not going to allow any further debate on this. We have had a request for a caucus by the DA. I'm asking you to ask your question or raise your point of clarity. Otherwise, we're moving on.
Enkosi Speaker, enkosi. Ngifuna ucacelwa man Speaker ewe inembane le meeting nezinye meeting futhi ekudala sizibahamba apha kwi virtual. Azikho productive tu kaloku Speaker but siyanini kwi-chambers abanye abantu bebambela meeting kwi-chambers all over the city in Cape Town.
Councillor, we've discussed this already and we are not going, Councillor, I'm not going to get into a debate about this. You're taking a skip scoop as they put it.
The virtual meetings because ngabantu.
Councillor Kampi, I have said this on previous occasions and I'm going to say it again, and I've sent you a message. You seem to ignore my messages, and I'm therefore saying to you now, we are not getting into a debate regarding where we're going to have these meetings. My ruling is that we have these meetings virtually, and by speaking your own mother tongue, I understood exactly what you were saying about this meeting. We will continue having these meetings until with the rules of the government. I have explained this on virtual meetings a number of times, so therefore I'm not entertaining your question. Thank you very much. Councillor Viljoen, you've asked for a caucus. Could you please clarify how many minutes you want so that we can adjourn this meeting for your caucus?
Thank you for recognizing me, Speaker. Could we please have a 10-minute caucus? Thank you very much.
Councillors, the time now is
Speaker,
12.
Speaker, my hand was up long time
Councillor
even
Toto,
for
Councillor
everyone
Toto,
else.
Councillor Toto, I've said I'm not entertaining any further questions regarding this meeting. We are in between items. You've all made your point about how you are unhappy about certain things. I have the perfect right not to accept your hand.
But accept others' hands.
I am therefore saying that we are moving on. We have asked for a caucus meeting for 10 minutes, and we are therefore going to adjourn this meeting from 12 o'clock until 10 past 12. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Right, good afternoon. The time now is 12:11. We are going to continue. I just want to find out, is the DA back in the meeting? Councillor Barnard, Viljoen.
We should be back. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you very much. Can we continue with this meeting then? We are going to take up on item 13.10, the adoption of predecessor's integrated development plan, IDP 2022 to 2023. The first person to speak on this item is Alderman Kritzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, the predecessor actually refers to a person that should be the previous council's IDP integrated development plan. Unfortunately, because of the timelines with our elections that were so very late last year, we will have to postpone and adopt the previous council's IDP for another until May next year, so that the process can be done, the public participation and everything that goes with it. So this is basically a legislative thing, and there was just not enough time to get this IDP ready for approval the end of May this year when we do our new budget. The budget and the IDP goes hand in hand, so that's one of the main reasons why we have to adopt the recommendations. I just want to read the recommendations to that that the previous council's IDP be adopted by the new council until the 31st of May 2023, and that is in terms of section 25(3)(a) of the Municipal Systems Act, and then B stays as it is, and C basically stays as it is. It's just A that the wording is slightly different. And I want to so propose that council adopt this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Alderman. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Lento.
Okay, Molweni Speaker, good day. We as the ANC, we are not in support of this as the ANC. No ITP that is already done. So we would like to refer for a workshop for all the new councillors and amendments if it's necessary. I thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item would have been Councillor Jay. She has been removed. We're moving on with Councillor Greef. You have 2 minutes.
Baie dankie, Speaker. Speaker, ons as die PBI stem nie saam met die.
Sorry, Councillor, can we please put off the other sound of the other microphones, please, or the other units in your division? Continue, you've got 2 minutes.
Dankie, Speaker, ons as die PBI stem nie saam met die review van die IDP nie. Ons wil graag hoor vanaf die raad. Die vorige IDP is dan nog dieselfde, daar is nog niks verander nie. Wat is die review? Wat kan hulle vir ons die nuwe review gee? Wat is gedoen en wat is nie gedoen nie? Want dit baat nie ons stem saam en dit en ons weet nog niks wat is klaar en wat is nog nie klaar nie. Dankie.
Councillor Greef, you've asked a question. Can anyone answer that, or does it need to be referred back?
I'm going to ask Ms. Waring to comment, as I know her directorate is busy with this process at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we just have a translator for that?
Uthi ke thina asivumelani nale recommendation ngoba kaloku i-review ye-IDP edlulileyo uthi ke asikwazi uvumelana nento esingayaziyo uba kwenziwe ntoni kushota phi okanye ntoni uthi ngoko ke asiyazi asizukwazi ukuvumelana nale ngcebiso.
Thank you, Mr. Paulus. Moving on, the next person to speak on this item is Councillor Tatana.
Good afternoon, colleagues, and good afternoon, Speaker.
I support the proposal as said by my colleague, Yona Kretzinger. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We therefore move on. The next item on the agenda is 13.11, the approval of the extension of the contract of the current municipal valuer to 30 June 2023. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you, Speaker. Yes, like you mentioned, this item is with regards to the approval of the extension of CDV Property Valuers Pty Limited for a period of 1 year. So it's a 1 year extension. This has gone through MACO and also formed part of the MACO minutes that's earlier in this agenda as well as the previous agenda. And it basically, they asked for a extension for 1 year due to the fact that they could not complete their work due to the effect of COVID. This contract started 3 years prior to 2022, which means they experienced all the hard lockdowns, that was regulated by the Disaster Act. Hence the reason for the extension, because a new evaluator, one would not want them to take over in the middle of such process. So I would like to propose the recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry. Just excuse me, I've got to program my throat. Sorry, I just needed to clear my throat there for a second. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor E. Mdaka. You have 1 minute.
Morning, Speaker. Where the ANC feels that this request for the approval of this extension for this same consultant is not the right one. In the sense that it is because of its poor performance, because they had time to finish. And they still have enough time to finish. We are even not sure, even if they are given that they will finish in time. As the ANC will support it if they get the approval only for 6 months. And again, we will support if this consultant doesn't get recognized again, because it has proved that it can perform in time. And that time, we propose that the service provider consultant that gets approved or get the work must be qualified one. The other thing is, my question that I would also like to raise is, who is this CDV Property Values, and is it from George, or where did they come from? Thank you very much.
Councillor, let me just confirm that I understand correctly. You have made a counter proposal. Am I correct? If I hear you correctly, there was a proposal. You mentioned something about a proposal.
Sorry. Yes, boss, I did so.
Okay, I need to have that in writing. In the chat box with a seconder, please. I did hear the proposal, so I need that to go into the chat box with a seconder, please. And then you asked a question. I don't think at this stage, MM, is there anything that you can answer, or would you like us to refer it back so they can do a formal reply to him?
Speaker, I'm not too sure. There's a question if this is a local company. I see Councillor Wessels' hand, Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wessels. Could you reply, please, as the MMC?
Hi, Speaker. Yes, thank you very much. It seems to be a local company. If I look, they are CDV property valuers. They're local business in George and the Western Cape. So yes, it does seem that they are local.
Thank you very much. I've allowed that. Councillors, please also bear in mind that if you do have questions, you are more than willing or you're more than able to contact the directorate directly instead of having to wait for these meetings. Having said that, I believe that I'm still waiting for, let me just confirm, I still have not received the counter proposal, but I'm waiting for that. The next person to speak on this item would be Councillor Titus. Sorry, is someone talking? Councillor Hani, please, your hand is not up.
Speaker.
Yes, now I see your hand. Sorry. Yes,
is using Councillor Zani's laptop because mine is having problem. Is having the problem. That is why I'm here by a Councillor Zani's laptop. I was just wanting to give a clarity on that one. Even that on the chat box, I will be maybe writing on his laptop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. While we wait for the proposal, please put your hands down. While we wait for that proposal, the next person to speak on this item is Councillor Titus. You have 1 minute. I'm going to repeat, Councillor Titus. It seems as though Good is no longer with us. I'm going to continue. The next speaker in this is Councillor Buys. You have 1 minute.
Baie dankie Speaker. Speaker, ek dink dat hoekom as dit dan nou weer dieselfde contracteurs of 'n company wat ons nou weer moet verleng. As daar nie iemand anders ook nie, maar baie kere wanneer ons sit ons hier so, dan praat ons van manne wat inkom. As hier so nie plaaslike ouens wat ook die company kan vorentoe vat nie. Die ander ding is, ek wil ook net bydra dat dit is COVID as die verskoning wat ons die ding moet nou net hastig maak nie. En kan ons nie die ding nie vir die item nie verwys word na National Treasure nie. So dat is net my vraag wat ek wil, dat die ding moet ons mos maar na National Treasure toe verwys. Want hulle moet hom goedkeur. Dankie.
Thank you, Councillor Wessels. Do you have a point of clarity or point of order?
No, Speaker, I believe I can answer the questions, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Speaker. So I hear what Councillor Buys is saying. I think we just need to understand that these current values, they need to value almost 60,000 properties in George in a certain amount of time. Obviously, you know, in COVID, these in the lockdowns, these were not able to be done. It is as simple as that. The MFM regulations, the MFM is coming in the next item in 1312. So that comment should be based in 1312. But yeah, this is a local company, so they're all local, so they've got an outlet here, so we're all using local companies for it, and also what I wanted to say was that it's extremely difficult for a new guy to come in while the current contractor is halfway through his job. So for a thorough process to be followed, you need this current contractor to finish what he is basically started and are already in process of doing. So for the continuation of the property values in George, one would like to see that that the current agreement and the current work of scope of work gets completed before entering into a new contract with regards to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Could you please put your hand down? Councillor Bass, your time was up. Are you happy with that? Can I move on then? Thank you. Councillor Viljoen, your hand is up.
Thank you, Speaker.
Chairperson, can we just have a translation on what Councillor Bass said, please?
I'm going to, I thought, okay, carry on, no problem. Please have the translation.
Uthi kutheni izawuphinda ibe le khampani izawuphinda kuthiwe mayandiselwe isivumelwano sayo ngoba kaloku zikhona nezinye iikhampani. Siye sithethe apha ngabantu abathi beze bazokwenza ushishino apha ngaphakathi. Uthi ke isizathu se-COVID esi sibekwayo ukubana khange bakwazi uba nexesha eloneleyo ayisosizathu esibambekayo eso soba bangakwazi ukugqiba umsebenzi ngexesha ebebelisikelwe. Uthi le item bekuneba ithunyelwa kunongxowa wezwe National Treasury ukuba ibe nguyo oza kwenza i-recommendation ingagqitywa apha.
Thank you very much. I trust that answers all your questions, and Councillor Bass.
Speaker.
Yes, Councillor Bass.
Hulle het nou my geantwoord, maar
dankie. Okay. Baie dankie. Ek wil net seker maak dat ek nie iets hier gemis het nie. Dankie. Thank you very much. We have answered the question. The last person to speak on this item is Councillor Windwey.
I support the recommendation of my colleagues, Dirk Wessels. Thank you.
Right, councillors, I just need to confirm there was a counter proposal made. I have not seen it in the chat box. I don't see any counter proposal in the chat box.
I'm still with it, busy with finishing it, Speaker. Sorry to just to come in, but I just need to make a clarity on that one. I'm on it. Thank you.
Councillors, could we then please afford the ANC the opportunity to present their counter proposal so that we can go to the vote? I'm going to give you 5 minutes, Councillor. Maximum of 5 minutes. Councillors, there should be no microphones on at this stage. Councillor Ndaka, I'm going to have to ask you to please hurry up with your counter proposal. We are holding up the whole meeting for this. I have the counter proposal which reads, we as the ANC propose that approval of the extension must be for 6 months instead of 1 year. For this, for this consultant to finish, also propose that if there is a way, then the directorate of the affected department must look at establishing a section of dealing with this and not outsource again. I do not have a seconder. Who is going to be seconding that?
Speaker.
Yes.
The second is on the way. Don't know how to please. Thank you.
Please, I need it to be done as quickly as possible. We're holding up the whole meeting for this. Okay, Councillor Toto has seconded. We therefore go over to the vote. The item that we are voting for is the counter proposal by the ANC, which states, we as the ANC propose that the approval of the extension must be for 6 months instead of 1 year. For this consultant to finish, also propose that if there is a way, then the directorate of the affected department must look at establishing a section of dealing with this and not outsource again. Seconded by Councillor Siphiwe Toto. I'm going to ask that the voters roll be going through. I'm going to call out the voters roll, and then you are going to answer for or against this motion. Starting off with Councillor Adams.
Speaker, I'm against the ANC's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor America.
Again, Speaker.
Councillor Barnard.
Against counter proposal, thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Against, Speaker, thank you.
Councillor Buys.
Speaker for the ANC.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Cronje.
Again, Speaker.
Sorry, repeat clearly. I couldn't hear that properly. I just want to make sure I've got it correct.
Against, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Du Toit.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Esu.
In favour.
Thank you. Councillor E.D. Fichland.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor R.G. Fichland.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Fry. Councillor Fry. Alderman Gericke.
In support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Gom.
In favor, Speaker.
Councillor Greef.
Ek stem saam met die ANC.
Councillor Gultig.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Hani.
In favor, Speaker.
Councillor Hector. Councillor Hector. Councillor Hazer.
Speaker.
In favor, Speaker.
Speaker, I'm Councillor Fry. Unfortunately, I couldn't unmute my mic. I don't know what's happening with my mic. I'm with Councillor Fichland. I just like to note that I'm against the ANC's proposal.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, Speaker, this is how it happens. DA people, they speak whenever they feel like. They don't raise their hands when it's us who are being censored and sent
Instead of
outside.
interjecting.
Yeah.
Councillor Fry, I'm going to ask you that you refrain from answering. I will take the answer after this. You can put your comment in the box. And Councillor Siphiwe, I am not going to talk to you again. If you let me do my job instead of interjecting, you'll find that I was about to say exactly what you told me to do. So please do not do my job for me. Thank you. Councillor Golte, did I go through Councillor Greef? Councillor Greef?
Ek stem saam met die ANC.
Councillor Golte?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Hani? Councillor Hani?
Repeat.
Councillor Hector? Councillor Hazer?
Support ANC. Support ANC.
Councillor Hill?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Jantjies?
Okay, Speaker.
Sorry, could you say that clearly, please?
Against, Honourable Speaker.
Councillor J.E.?
She's not in the meeting.
She's been removed. Thank you. Councillor Johnson?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Kleinans?
In favour, Speaker.
Alderman Kritzinger?
Against the Speaker.
Councillor Kruger?
Against. Thank you.
Councillor Kruger?
Against. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lento?
In favour, Somlomo.
Thank you. Councillor Lose?
Against the Speaker.
Councillor Low, NM? Councillor Low, RMI? Councillor Manklele?
Ngiyayixhasa Speaker.
Councillor Mbete?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Mdaka ET?
In favour, Speaker, as usual.
Councillor Mdaka has been removed. Councillor Rumkule? Councillor Mruklude?
In favour, Speaker.
Thank you. Councillor Tamile?
In favour, Speaker.
Councillor Neetling?
Against, sir.
Councillor Niehaus?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Ntondini?
In favour, Speaker.
Councillor Petrus?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Kotana?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Tampi? Councillor Tampi? Councillor Rulofse?
Against.
Councillor Suffers?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Subtu? Is he excused for the day? Councillor Simmers?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Smart? Councillor Smart? Councillor Snyman? Against? Councillor Titus? Councillor Titus? Councillor Toto?
In favour, Speaker.
Councillor Van Niekerk?
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Alderman van Wyk.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor van Brandes.
Against, Speaker.
Councillor Wessels.
Against, Speaker.
And Councillor Windwaai. We have now gone through the...
Against, Speaker.
Thank you. We have now gone through the attendance register or the roll call. Rosemary, would you please tally up the votes?
Forgot.
Yes,
Speaker, may I proceed?
Yes, Rosemary, you may proceed. Rosemary, continue.
I've counted 50 and those not in favor, I've counted 31. And
Sorry, Rosemary, we cannot hear you clearly.
Did not vote.
Rosemary, I need you to put off the other microphones. We cannot hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now, Speaker?
Now I can hear you, yes.
Speaker, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Rosemary.
If I proceed then. I said those in favor, I've counted 15, and those not in favor, I've counted 31, and there were 6 councillors that did not vote.
Thank you. Therefore, the counter proposal does not carry, and the original proposal then goes ahead. Am I correct? Thank you. With that, I would like to continue with item 13.12 to appoint a service. Sorry. Yeah, item 13.12 to appoint a service provider for a period of beyond 3 years in terms of section 33 of the Municipal Finance Managers Act of 56 of 2003. The first person to speak on this item is Councillor Wessels.
I thank you, Speaker. Yes, so in terms of, this item is really just an extension of the previous item, and in terms of section 33 of the Municipal MFMA Act of 56 of 2003, a municipality may enter into a contract beyond 3 years if all the prescriptions of the Act are met. And this item is then to obtain the council's approval for the extension of the 1 year as per the previous item. So I recommend, I propose the recommendation as per the item. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Ntondini. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Goeiemôre spreker. Ek wil graag sê I wasn't aware that today the council is celebrating the Language Day. On that note, I'm joining the queue by saying ukhongolose uyasixhasa isiphakamiso. Ke a leboga. Dankie.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to say that the ANC supports the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Hector. I have received an item that says that they're all not in the meeting. I therefore continue with Councillor Lawsey. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I second the proposal of Councillor Deck and the recommendations as is. Thank you, Speaker.
Speaker, have you unmuted yourself?
Sorry, I have now unmuted myself. I would just like to bring to your attention that we're moving on to item 13.13. However, once this item is concluded, we will break for lunch and then we'll reconvene for the confidential items after lunch. Having said that, the first person to speak on item 13.13, the Audit Committee report to Council, Quarter 2. The first person to speak is Councillor Fichland, and you have 2 minutes.
Speaker, thank you. Let me not keep those who are hungry waiting, and let me be short and sweet on this one. In front of us is the Audit Committee report to Council for the Quarter 2. This report is for noting, and I so propose that Council notes the content of this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fichland. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Gom.
Thank you, Speaker. Afternoon, councillors. As the ANC, we note the recommendation because there's no financial implications to the municipality finances. So we noted that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. The next person to speak on this item is Councillor Jay, who is not in the meeting.
Speaker?
Yes, Councillor Alderman. Your hand is not up, Alderman.
Sorry for this, but just on a point of order, the report is for noting. It's just for noting. So I don't know why we discuss the report, Speaker. Respectfully so.
As communicated with you.
Your point taken. Thank you. Therefore, the next person to speak on this item to second it is basically Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Speaker. I second the item.
Thank you very much for that quick and speedy way through that last item. Councillors, the time now is 10 to 1. Could we please reconvene at 1:30?
Until what time?
Councillor Toto, your microphone is on once again. Councillor Toto. Councillor Toto, your mic has been disabled. Unfortunately, you are leaving it on while we are talking. We are now going to go into recess for 40 minutes to have lunch and a body break, and we'll see each other at 1:30. Thank you. Councillors, we're about to restart the the ordinary council meeting for 2022, February the 24th. The time is now 13:29. It has just gone over to 13:30. Rosemary, could you please ensure that we are a quorum?
Speaker, if I may.
Councillor Barnard, you may.
Are we going to do a roll call again?
I am going to do a roll call again, yes. I want to make sure that who is available and who isn't. I'm going to ask Stephanie to call out the names of those, all the councillors and those present, please.
Mr. Speaker, I will call out the names.
That's fine, Rosemary. I don't mind. It's going to be handed over to you to please go ahead and call out the roll call. Rosemary, this meeting has started. You may call the roll call.
I will do so, Speaker. Councillor Adams.
Middag Rosemary, weer eens, ek is hier so.
Councillor America.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Barnard.
Present, Speaker. Rosemary.
Councillor Brown. Councillor Buys.
Teenwoordig, Speaker.
Councillor Clark. Councillor Cronje.
Present.
Councillor Du Toit. Councillor Esau.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Edie Vigeland.
Teenwoordig, Androos.
Councillor R. Vigeland.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Fry. Alderman Girike.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Speaker.
Councillor Gom.
Present.
Councillor Greef.
Teenwoordig, Speaker.
Councillor Gultig.
Good afternoon, everyone. Councillor Gultig present, thank you.
Councillor Hani.
Present.
Councillor Hector. Councillor Heiser.
Speaker, Councillor Heiser is wel nie.
Councillor Hill.
Hill present.
Councillor Jantjies.
Present, thank you.
I'll skip Councillor Yai because she was removed. Councillor Johnson.
Present, thank you.
Councillor Mankele.
I'm back, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Mbete.
Present, Maros.
Councillor E. Ndaka.
Councillor Ndaka is asked to be excused after lunch. He had something urgent to attend to.
Thank you. Councillor F. Ndaka.
Removed.
Thank you. Councillor Kukele. I don't do this. Councillor Marukele.
Talk, Tete Umson.
Present.
Councillor Kamele.
Present. Present, ma'am.
Thank you. Councillor Neetling.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Niels.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Tondini.
Present.
Alderman Petrus.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Katana.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Kampi.
Present, Madam Speaker.
Councillor Rooster.
Teenwoordig.
Councillor Cyphers.
Rosemary, present.
Councillor Summers.
Present, Rosemary.
Councillor Smart.
Present.
Councillor Snyman.
Present.
Councillor Titus. Councillor Toto.
Good afternoon, I'm present.
Councillor Van die Kerk.
Present, Speaker.
Alderman Van Wyk.
Rosemary.
Councillor Von Brandes.
Present, Rosemary.
Councillor Wessels.
Present.
Councillor Windwaai.
Present, Rosemary.
Thank you. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Rosemary. I just want to bring your attention to the fact that we have Councillor Luvuyo Nkamile, who has indicated his presence in the chat box, Councillor Letoy and Councillor Fry, who's still having problems with his microphone. Is it noted? Rosemary?
Speaker, yes, I've noted that.
Thank you very much. Having said that, councillors, I must ask, I must ask that the meeting times, if we adjourn for 40 minutes, I'm going to start the meeting after 40 minutes. And latecomers will unfortunately have to slot in where we are. But unfortunately, we cannot keep everybody waiting for people that are joining the meeting late. Councillor Viljoen, I see your hand is up. Is it to mention something that is somebody
it's
that
to do with attendance, Chair?
Yes, what? Bring it to my attention, please.
Please just take note that Councillor Brown is also trying to get your attention, as well as Councillor Vugland.
Okay, I don't see their hands up, but I did take note that Councillor Brown was put her hand up and then she put it down. Councillor Vugland, I'm aware that Councillor Fry is in attendance with you and that you are present. Thank you very much. Council, I'm going to ask that we move forward. Prior to lunch, we ended on 13.13. We're now going to move on to 14 questions to council. 14.1, I've received nothing. 14.2, new questions, I have received nothing. I'm therefore moving over to the confidential items, and I would like to confirm with corporate services that there is no streaming and that this council chambers is now totally closed. Can somebody from corporate just